this one time I was teaching finance at this B school, and I think in my class I said, let's do a white space analysis on this class collectively will decide to enter into a white space, because the question to me was, how do you evaluate what is a white space? And we said, okay, which category do we want to work with? We want to work with, say, health and wellness. And then as you crowdsource ideas from a naughty class and a relatively younger professor, it automatically went towards, sexual wellness. And when it did, we were like, okay, let's just open up marketplaces and look at where are they listed, what are the images like, what all needs are they catering to, so that we can figure out what is not being catered to. And I remember, one, it was very difficult for us to locate which subcategory this was in. And we ended up figuring out, oh, this is all placed under massagers. So I don't know if it's legal. Why is it that even an Amazon cannot list it under sexual wellness? That's first. And the second very shocking visual was, we saw all these models with like massagers on their chin and neck and faces, and we were like, I don't know if this is really educating the market or really adding to the problem of people not understanding what's really happening. As you mentioned, that people who also take the onus of saying, okay, I am going to be the messiah of sex education in the country, and then if you put up a picture with someone with their massager on their face, you're kind of adding to the confusion, aren't you? How have you tackled this? Have you used any visuals which are suggestive to say, and why would you not? Is there something which would stop you? Are you afraid of some community which is very conservative, linked or not linked to any particular religious sentiments in any way, coming after you saying this is not setting the right direction for our culture?
Okay, that's a very brave question, and it'll be braver for me to answer this. I'm not sure if you should put it, but I'll answer it. To answer your question, yeah, we're operating uh, in a place where we have to keep the cultural sensitivities in mind. Everywhere, not just in India, anywhere in the world, wherever it's been a conversation around women's liberation, because at the end of the day, all our products help women feel great in their bodies. And what the fact which is completely ignored is, and this is like data that's out there on the internet, that over 60% the research was done, and over 60% women had agreed to the fact that they've faked orgasms. All right. 81% women, as I mentioned earlier, haven't experienced an orgasm just through penetration and need some form of clitoral stimulation. We live in a patriarchal world, and a woman's liberation, any kind of liberation, leave alone sexual liberation, meets a lot of blockers. So what you see as neck massagers, as head massagers, it's like, if you know, you know. Like that's
Yeah.
the whole. That's the whole point.
And who are they trying to protect themselves from, is my question. Are they trying to protect themselves from some law that prohibits them? Or are they trying to protect themselves from just a community which may feel offended by the fact that you exist?
Acha. So I would like to say a bunch of people will get offended, because as I just mentioned, that a lot of the notion around massages has been that it's competition and not companion. A lot of people still think, am I not enough for their partner?
So maybe what they would take as like a hit on their ego, if they were to find out about this, they would go against the brand, that how dare you come in, that now my spouse is cheating on me because of your existence. Is that what it is?
That's the thought in a lot of people's heads.
Okay.
Right. That's one. The second is, Sarthak, you have to know this one thing, that masculinity is also very fragile.
Yeah, 100%.
So it gets, people get ticked off very quickly.
Yeah.
What people don't understand is that there's a lot of conversation around divorce rates are increasing. Sexual dissatisfaction is one of the biggest reasons. We're helping people find joy in the bedroom, man.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. There's one more thing I want to talk about. You open any Hindi newspaper, any English newspaper, in the advertising section, you'll have Shilajit, power capsules.
Correct.
The other day, I was, dropping someone to the railway station. And just before you take a turn towards going to Paharganj side, there's a big hoarding of somebody selling male power capsules there.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that happening for women's sexual health? No, you cannot. That's how normalized the idea of uh, male power is. This entire narrative around lasting longer feeds into the idea that sex is only what you have and it's penetrative. But what we stand for is sex is when you have your dinner, or when you meet, when you hug each other, how you talk to the other person, how you make them feel, how you feel about your own body. And the very last thing is what you do when you're together. So, anything to do with women's health and women's sexual health in general, it's a taboo. But you can have a man doing this in your newspapers, in your on your hoardings, and nobody will bat an eye.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
So can you educate me about exactly what are you building in That Sassy Thing?
We build and sell massagers. We were actually the first brand in India to create a water-based lube free from any flavors, scents, or any harmful chemicals. So it's massager, it's lubricants. We also do card games, but a lot of our what we stand for is sex education.
So you said you're into building massagers,
Lubricants,
lubricants, and card games.
card games, yeah.
Okay, and while I'm really curious about the card games, I think I wanna start off with the massagers. So when you started building in 2021, really, what was the market landscape? Was there like a white space? Did you think other players did not exist? Or they did, were they not marketing it enough because they felt that there was a stigma attached to it? Like, in what context did you start and how has that market evolved now?
So as you know, I ran an advertising agency, and between 2012 to 2015, I worked on one of India's largest condom brands. We realized how skewed the market was towards only catering to the needs of men, and the women had been completely ignored out of not just the product, but the entire conversation around sexual wellness. You know, if you look at the entire positioning, the visuals, everything is talking to the man. But hey, he's going to be using the condom with the woman, right?
That's
She's
right.
not in the picture. The male gaze, the entire focus was on the male gaze. That was the first time I realized, why is no one building anything that keeps women in the picture? Now, 2015 is when Sachee and I started dating, and the conversation around sexual wellness became very personal to us.
Hmm.
We went out in the market looking for a lubricant,
Hmm.
but all the bottles were dick shaped and everything was flavored.
Yeah.
Now, when we used the flavored lubricant, Sachi would get a yeast infection, and that would last for days. Or if it was a spontaneous hookup, we'd both end up smelling like chocolates or strawberries. So that was the second time we realized that if you go to a market, why are all lubricants dick shaped and flavored? The point was, again, they're catering to men. So they were essentially meant for men to get blowjobs.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
this was the second time we realized, why isn't there anything meant for women? Now, the third and the most important, I would say, tipping point actually that happened in our lives was we got married in 2018, but in 2020, Sarthak, soon after COVID restrictions were relaxed, we hosted three of our friends for a meal. One of them had just gotten married, another one had brought along a date, and the third one had just had a child. So, three women in different stages of their lives had brought along their partners, and two drinks down, the conversation went to sex. All the men in the room were like, we're killing it. and, and all the women had a moment of solidarity where they were like, sorry guys, it's not happening.
Yeah.
That was our wake up call that the orgasm gap is real.
Hmm.
Now, what is orgasm gap? Orgasm gap is when, and this is like there are hundreds of studies there, that when a man and a woman have sex, almost 81% women do not orgasm through penetration
Hmm.
versus only 9% of men not orgasming.
Correct.
Just imagine that.
Yeah.
And there's not been enough conversation around it. That was our first insight. The second thing was, which is very crazy. Do you know, Sarthak, that clitoris is the pleasure organ in a woman's body? But the entire anatomy of the clitoris was only discovered in 2005.
What?
Yeah. And there was not enough conversation around it. So, yeah, so the later part of 2020, the second half of 2020, we spent one ordering hundreds of lubricants from global brands across, uh, from across all global brands and so many of the Indian brands. So we spoke to about 70 odd contract manufacturing companies because it was a personal problem we had to solve for a lubricant which was made in India, free from any propylene glycol, which is a petroleum derived ingredient, free from any benzocaine. And it was in 2021 that we launched the brand with DTF. DTF essentially stands for down to fuck. That was the name of our lubricant. And back then, we were the only brand that was listing each and every ingredient on the back label without the laws actually asking us to do that. We anyways did that.
So right now, other D2C brands kind of mask certain ingredients into generic names so that
Yeah.
they don't give it away.
They just give out a few key ingredients because that is what the law technically asks them to do, and they can get away by putting a lot of irritants that give a gel-like structure. So, for example, propylene glycol is a very widely used ingredient, right from all food products to lubricants. Let me tell you, it was the irritant of the year 2018 in the US.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And
but-
what kind of irritation is it?
So it causes itchiness and like itchiness and irritation in the vagina.
Allergy kind. Oh,
Yeah. So that's one. The second is, Sarthak, now the entire industry right now is running on last longer. What helps people last long? It's an anesthetic called benzocaine.
yeah. It's like a local anesthesia which
Yeah,
would numb you,
numb
your
right?
sensation.
Yeah. Okay, you last longer, but it's extremely harmful for the woman. One, it also numbs the pain. So you don't know if it's really harming you while you're at it. You'll get to know it later. How was that for a sexual experience, man? Like, so that is where we wanted to actually take a step back, cut down on all the nasty ingredients, and launch a clean loop that we could also use ourselves. So that's the story around the lubricant.
Okay, so it started with the lubricant.
Now let's talk about massagers. You know, when we were dating, we were in a long distance relationship. Sachee was in the US and she was there at the cusp of sexual revolution that was happening there. A lot of D2C brands were launching there. That was one of our first exposures to the idea of bringing in a tool that enhances your pleasure and sort of reduces the pleasure gap. And what we realized was that our idea in general, the moment you think of a sex toy, it's a phallus shaped object.
Yeah.
But if we were to build a brand in this space in India, design and discretion had to be very important, and functionality. When data says that over 90% women orgasm through clitoral stimulation, there was no conversation around clitoral stimulators, man. So I brought in, a bunch of, samples of clitoral stimulators of different ergonomics, different
From Hong Kong.
from Hong Kong. We also got them shipped. On one side, we gave a bunch of them for testing for 100% medical grade silicone because that was the key things.
Okay,
All
how
our
do you
products.
how do you do this? Because
There are
I'm not aware,
independent-
so I'd
yeah.
love to be educated. Like you brought it firstly, no customs issue.
No.
It's not something which is prohibited to import or
So you have to ensure this one thing, Sarthak, that all these products are discrete designs and they don't look obscene. That's the
Hmm.
most important thing.
Okay, so
All
the
right?
design is such that
Yeah, so nobody
just
cares.
fly.
Yeah,
Okay.
nobody cares.
So now when these designs happen or whatever you finally developed on both sides, on the side of women as well as men, is it something you designed from scratch then in-house, or do you think some of these designs were already being sold in other parts of the world, and whatever you thought would be best for the Indian market, you kind of took and you gave your own twist?
Anyone who claims that they started with the custom design in this space is not telling the truth. And we've
I'm
never
sure.
really claimed that also. So first we went with pre-existing designs, but designs one functional and discreet, because discretion is a very important part of the business we are building. If we tested about 12 different prototypes and we liked speed and patterns in one of them, we asked our manufacturers to customize that machinery for this product.
Got
But
it.
we didn't go into making a full-fledged silicon mold on day zero, because the cost is anywhere between 15 to 17 lakhs upfront.
Okay.
We were bootstrapped, and
Yeah.
that's not something that we could do. Secondly, Sarthak, we were solving for access. Anyways, building a D2C business is an expensive affair. If we would have started with a custom mold to begin with, that cost ultimately would have gone to our
Hmm.
customers.
Correct.
So we didn't want to reinvent everything. We focused on the silicon quality and made sure it was always 100% medical grade silicon, and the machinery inside, which had CE ROHS certifications, and it was as per the speed and patterns we had liked.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is the machinery imported and the silicone mold or what you put on top of it, the covering, is that made in India or it's built in India from scratch?
No, it's made in China.
So you import the final product from
Yeah.
China.
Yes.
And is it because no one's doing it in India, the manufacturing, or you just felt that they're doing it at a particular level, at a scale where the economics make better sense and might as well just?
The answer is both, actually. One, the economics of manufacturing in China has always worked for everybody, not just in our category, but in most categories. The second thing is, we're not there in terms of silicon and rubber as materials in
Oh,
India.
in India?
All right. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and even in surgicals for that matter, this is like most of it is
Yeah,
either
China
being
has the
imported from
largest
China
market.
and Malaysia, like rubber, silicon, everything, and Thailand, of course. Silicon, and of that intimate nature, you can't really put your customers' lives at risk.
Hmm.
So we didn't want to do that. So it's made in China.
Okay.
That is
So now that the Indian government is kind of imposing BIS regulations on a lot of products, do you think your category is kind of so far-fetched at the moment that before BIS comes in, that they start putting constraints on you not being able to import the final, fully like made finished good? Or it can be subcategorized into some other category, and that may actually come in where the moment that BIS regulation is imposed on this category, you will have to develop like an assembly line or something here, find a
sir,
contractor who can put it together.
assembling in India is something we're already exploring.
Hmm.
So when the BIS is enforced, all of that is in place.
Okay. And when you have to get a product tested, for example, which is in this category, where are the standards for these products for you to even think of that, okay, anything that applies to skin should apply here? Or should there be a different standard that is not mentioned in, say, cosmetic products or anything else which is topical? How do you think about it?
Okay. All our factories are CE ROHS certified. That's one. All our products are CE ROHS certified, because even China mandates that for all electronic and electrical products.
Okay.
All right. Now, the second is, one thing we were very, very conscious of was, while the machinery and everything that goes inside is CE ROHS certified, a lot of people cut corners on the outer material,
Hmm.
the silicon casing. So even now, if you see certain products, there'll be ABS plastic and some rubber, not 100% medical grade silicone. We had to be very sure that we're using products that come with 100% medical grade silicone. Who does these tests? We send them to these independent labs. A lot of them exist, to multiple labs. One is in Chennai, one is in Mumbai, another one is, I think, in Bhubaneswar.
Okay, so anyone who's kind of creating silicone products for hospitals and for medical
Yes.
use,
Yeah.
that's
It's-
essentially the
yeah.
standard you go for.
Yeah. So
Got it.
100% medical grade silicone, the same that is used for catheters, for your tubes, intubation, etc. That's
Correct.
what we had to ensure. We also had a close group of our friends and extended family. We call that the Sassy Vibe Tribe. So we sent them uh,
Some products.
products. And nobody had seen a clitoral stimulator because the idea of a sex toy was, I mean, technically, for the lack of a better term, a dildo,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
One of the things that actually stuck out in most feedbacks was this is something I've never experienced before. So we launched our very first massager it's called Lit. It's a play on the word lit.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we launched with the clitoral stimulator. We didn't launch with a product that was meant for internal stimulation or uh, anything very obvious, because we were solving for 90% women needing some sort of clitoral stimulation to orgasm.
So now that you built the product that you guys loved, you thought it was great quality, you guys found a lot of use in it. How did you think of taking it to the customer where the ecosystem moved online? That was a superpower or a wedge available to you to really make a mark? Or, and if that happens, how do you not get shadow banned or platform saying they're suddenly selling all these things which maybe we should curtail because we don't want to be in the wrong books of the government where we're operating, or even just platforms trying to be safe, right, for everyone. So any insights or learnings there? How do you solve for communication in this category?
Interesting, you touched upon the fact that it's slightly awkward for people to buy
Yeah.
condoms. And I remember when I had bought my first condom, I'd taken three of my friends, asked them to stand outside the pharmacy and make sure that I don't
Keep
get
people
beaten.
off.
And
That you don't get beaten.
we were fairly young, but the whole idea is, yeah. So Sarthak, you have to know that we're essentially like we're a brand that's selling to women. Now,
Hmm.
women going to pharmacies, traditional pharmacies, I'm not talking chemist shops, let me use
Yeah.
that word.
Chemists.
It's still not very common. All
Yeah.
right. So yeah,
Correct.
of course, like when the world moved online, and of course we're a D2C brand that started to sell online, that's where our audiences are. All right. Even in the US and Europe, discretion is a very important aspect of purchases of our nature. All
Hmm.
right. In India, it's a lot more because either one, you're living with your parents, or you're living in a joint family, or uh, you don't want the world to know what you've ordered, right?
Yeah.
So online ensures that safety, like a digital transaction in the online space ensures that. So discrete shipping is a very important aspect of the business that we're building in, and not just us. Every player in the market has to focus on discretion.
So how do you solve for discretion?
One of the things is that right from the SMS that you get on your phone, because if it beeps and there's somebody sitting right next to you, uh, it doesn't say what you've ordered, and so that's one thing that we take care of. Even the shipping box, it doesn't contain the name of the product or
Okay.
our brand name.
Okay. On the box, so the
Yeah, the
label that
shipping
comes on the
box.
box,
Yeah,
what would it say? SKU number one,
yeah,
two,
that's it.
four,
Yeah,
something like that.
it'll just say that. It builds a sense of trust and safety.
Hmm.
We're selling to women who are going to experience this product within the four walls of their house, right, in a safe space. But we also have to make this transaction feel safe right from the point they're paying us throughout the journey of the product reaching them. It has taken us a lot of layers of communication. So, discrete shipping is the second most visited page on our website.
Really?
Yeah, because people want to know how will my package come.
Yeah.
Another very interesting thing is that we've also in Delhi and Bangalore, we also do same day deliveries
Hmm.
because people want to know when will my product be delivered and will I be there to receive it.
Yeah.
What if somebody else, despite the fact that we have a a label that says nothing, like no, until unless they rip it apart, they're not going to know what that is. Even our packaging, it's so bright. It's like any other lifestyle product. People are not going to be like until unless they even open that mono carton, take out the product. It's then.
Oh, so it's almost like, if someone's ordering this online and they've ordered like 10 other things on Amazon and Flipkart, Nykaa, and they don't know when it's coming, and suddenly something comes and you think it's an Amazon order, and you start ripping it apart in the middle of your house. You could really be scared.
People have these fears, but that's where the packaging, the fun. So we've consciously made an effort to not have black, navy blue, gold, silver packaging. If you look at all products that have existed in the category, they've all been associated with the idea of, oh my God,
Masculinity,
yeah,
or either concealing
yeah,
or like dark
yeah,
masculinity.
dark. That catches more attention,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So they're like, you're doing something wrong. So that's why we made it a point that, you know, it becomes a part. It speaks to you. It's an extension of your personality.
Okay.
All right. So that's the whole idea. Our idea of going discreet was not isko navy blue bana do or silver typography kar do. No, that's not what our objective was.
So even when the SMS comes, it's essentially from, say, like a logistics provider name.
Yeah, logistics provider
It won't even say the name of your brand.
Yeah, it'll say the name of our parent company. That is what it'll say. Yeah.
Understood. Which is difficult for people
Yeah,
to figure
yeah,
out
yeah.
because it's not the brand name.
Yeah.
Got it. Very interesting. Okay. When you started running ads on this, or you put out content, how did you start communicating it to the people that this existed, which prompted people to buy? Like, I just want to understand your journey of and learnings through communication. You know, I think there is a possibility a lot of times we tend to think too much about our own product, and we tend to like map out customer journeys in our head much before the customer is already bought. And when we actually start getting data on how they're buying, we have to unlearn a lot of things. Did any of that happen with you where you figured, okay, our preconceived notion around how this customer journey is going to be is very different, or the target customer we thought this is going to cater to is it's actually being sold to some other people altogether, and it's a new cohort?
Now the thing is that we were working on two fronts. The first front was Sarthak, that people were sort of unsure about the fact that if I order, will my product even reach? Because it had happened with them. They had ordered from some older websites and marketplaces that were either importing these products that took a lot of time, or the products essentially never came. So we had to create that level of trust.
And it's a low trust category anyway to begin with.
We started offering a 120-day warranty on the product, like any electronic. So that sort of built trust. We started communicating a lot about our warranty. And in fact, customer service is still one of those things that Sachee personally looks at and makes sure that people have a great experience. So when people know that their purchase is protected, they're assured. So that's one thing. Now, the second thing is reaching out to audiences. We're a country that's been raised with little to no sex education. You know, Sachee and I often joke about it, and things were no different in Delhi either. Sachi's grown up in Delhi, and the only sex ed she got from her mother was like a couple of days before we were going to get married, and it was it was quoted as, "Please keep your husband happy." And I was sitting there like at a distance, but I heard it, and we both laughed out loud that, you know, is this what you've got? So the point is, you know, right now, you know, we're laughing about it, but the point is that's when we realized that, imagine.
I think we come from privilege to be able to laugh about it in these contexts too.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even imagine people who are in a different environment in India, and India's like 90%, 99% that wouldn't even relate to us.
Yeah.
In this language, in this context, and the kind of embarrassment it would really lead to would be something that's unimaginable for me at the moment.
So I laughed about it, and so, I mean, so did Sachee, and that's when we realized that, one, we've grown up with no sex ed, and the second is, a woman is always expected to be a giver in everything, right? Pleasure की तो आप बात ही मत करो, वो तो conversation ही नहीं होती है. And that's the case with anything to do with women's health, leave alone pleasure. I was reading a stat that said that in 2020, globally, only 5% of all the budget that was allocated by multiple medical health organizations was allocated towards women's health.
Really?
Yes. So we went back and we realized that if we are to be in the business for long run, we have to create a lot of education and work with credible people, not traditional educators, but young educators who are talking the language that the new India is also open to understanding and not alienating a lot of people. Now, to answer your question, when we started putting the content out, what started happening?
Yeah.
Initially, everything went viral.
Yeah. Because it was such an arbitrage opportunity. No one
Yeah.
was talking about it.
Then uh, a lot of we started getting, like, even on content which was mostly educational, we started getting a lot of curbs. It stopped showing to non-followers.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
So curbs by the platform?
Platforms, yeah. Anything to do with female pleasure is censored by the platforms. This is a fact, not just in
Really?
Indian companies, yeah. Not just in India, globally.
Have you found a reason for it? I'm sure you've spoken to people at Meta or YouTube. I mean, I know in our circle there are people who work with some of these companies. And have you heard something about it?
Nobody has a very credible answer. We've tried to find our answers, and global companies, their entrepreneurs have been very vocal about it. Like, they've started petitions. Things haven't changed. We find code words. Like, we use the word fex instead of sex. We still have to get the word out, right?
Absolutely.
That's what we have to do.
So the risk you run in such a category is also that you never know what worked on the algorithm once, and someday
Yeah.
they might just decide to shut out all
Yeah.
the work that you do.
We do get notifications of our content from a year and a half, 2 years getting flagged, and that's okay. That's a part of the business. Whole point is we live with it, and that's perfectly fine.
So like this is a problem of our
BAU.
category.
Business as usual.
Yeah.
So
So do you see that in your data as well? Like what's the split like in terms of men and women as customers? What are like the age, demographic, location? What have you figured in the data?
our Instagram, 75% of our audience is women, 25% is men.
And if I have not seen your content organically, is that a win for you?
No, I'll tell you why. So it's sort of a win on a higher level, but still, I'd assume that you're a feminist man, and I'd love to have you as a part of the conversation. That's
Okay.
the very reason that I'm here. About 60% of our orders are men. The names are men, and 40% are women. Now, why does that happen?
Oh, 60% of your orders are in the names of men.
Yeah, and 40% are women, and we'll tell you how or why that happens. Unfortunately, when it comes to financial independence, we're a country that's where 90% of the finance is controlled by men. So it's either women ordering through using their partner's cards. That's what is happening. The second thing is that entire conversation around discretion and all that. So if something comes in my partner's name, it's not going to be questioned. We're
I'm sure.
building in India. Yeah, I think these are the two factors why we see a lot of men's names.
No,
Because
absolutely makes sense. Correct.
yeah, so that's the reality. But every time the person on the other side has always happened to be mostly, I would say, a woman, or it's a man who's ordered something for his partner. That has also happened. But I'd like to assume that 90% of our audiences are women. That's who
Okay.
we are talking to.
Okay. And locations,
Yeah.
age?
We're essentially a tier 1 India majority brand, all right?
Absolutely.
And ages are anywhere between 21 to 35. That's our core audience.
Okay.
But there have always been very pleasant surprises wherein we've had even 55-year-old women also order. And we've spoken to the customers, and we realize how women have always been underserved. And you also have to know this one thing. We're also a brand that stands for liberation, right? Like, sexual liberation is a real thing. Some people share a lot.
Yeah.
So they write back with their stories.
Hmm.
And, one of the most heartwarming one has been somebody who's been in a 15-year-long marriage, and what she discovered through our products and how she felt was something out of the world. And these are things that make the hustle worth it, because हाँ यार, मतलब, building and cracking Meta
Yeah.
in a category that we existing is very, very hard.
Yeah.
But it's stories like these, like we just put out on our social media, Sarthak, and why I feel that things are changing. A mother whose daughter was graduating, like finishing her undergrad and going into the world, she wanted to give this to her as a graduation present.
Really?
Yeah, we put that out, like, of course, hiding the names, etc. But tier 2 and tier 3 India also doesn't, like, they don't fail to surprise us. So we get orders from like the very remote parts of Gujarat. All right, I don't know if you've seen the India Today sex survey. Gujarat always surprises the world.
Really? I want to know what this is.
Yeah. So India is changing. We've had like older folks also order. Funnily enough, there's a very so one of the very few customers. It's one of those influential women from the Delhi farmhouses. I think they have a monthly kitty party kind of a thing, and our products are ordered like
As return gifts.
yeah, and every month that happens, and it's like what I
Wow.
mean that makes the hustle worth it because you have to know this one thing that we're a we're a business. Like a lot of times, I'm in conversations where I tell people that brand love. If I was a skincare brand, a fashion brand, or a hair care brand, right? I'd have a lot of people talk about it openly, testimonials here and there.
Yeah.
People don't talk about,
And even referrals as a category is
yeah,
not something you would get, right? Like no
absolutely.
matter how much someone would love your product, there's a very slim chance they
Yeah.
would refer to their best friend. I don't know about men and women behave differently, so I can't speak for women.
Yeah, but still, like people think at least twice before talking about it, right? It's so. This is what I keep telling people that our only measure of brand love is the fact that one, when people write to us such long emails saying that they felt something that they had never felt before. And we're a long way before the world realizes how empowering and healthy orgasms are.
Yeah.
I mean, our users connect to us beyond just our products, and that's always been our objective.
Okay. So you've told us very generously about the kind of customers you cater to. Now, in the products that you have, so how many total SKUs do you have across these three categories?
So we'll have 11 SKUs.
11.
All right? Yeah.
Okay. Can you walk me through all of them?
There'll be 8 massagers.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. I couldn't have imagined.
Nine massagers, sorry. One card game and one lubricant. So we
Okay.
currently have a water-based lubricant.
Hmm.
All right, which I just mentioned we launched with, and the formulation, etc., has remained the same.
And because you're not doing flavors and scents, there's no need for you to add anything else. It's kind of like a gold standard, which also means would you not be adding any more lubricants? It's the SKU will only be size based or something?
I mean, about 90% of the usage across the globe is a water-based lubricant. All right.
And what is the other based? Is it
It's-
oil, alcohol?
There are
what?
other oil-based and silicon-based. All
Okay.
right. So we are actually looking at doing an oil-based lubricant. We'll tell you why. No, water-based lubricants, Sarthak, they dry out faster than
Oil
the
based.
oil-based lubricants. Now, what do most brands, including the biggest ones out there, do? They use propylene glycol and some use glycerine to give it that gel-like structure. Both of these components are really bad for vaginal health. In order for us to cater to a market which is slightly, I would say, as women age, the natural vaginal lubrication starts reducing, right?
Hmm.
So that is where oil-based lubricants can also help.
Okay.
All right. So we are working on a formulation for the oil-based lubricant, and in about a month or so, we'll be out. So that's one particular variant that we are working on.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's another question I had, which is say, because there is no sex ed, there are so many questions around, whether using a lube would reduce someone's chances of conception, given how infertility is like a big thing. And in this category, a lot of it stems from your own perception of what is considered shameful or not. And then you start coming up with reasons to yourself to give yourself closure around why I'm not able to reproduce, or maybe I'm facing certain fertility issues, and that's because I've been a bad person in some way. And do you think that could also be something that could impact your business? Have you seen conversations around that, or as of now your cohort is such which is anyway more of a rebel, and it's not reached that age group yet where you think this would be a concern?
No, Sarthak, I think this is a very valid question, and we do get this.
You do?
All right, yeah. So there are two ways we answer it. One is that, see, we're being 100% transparent. See the ingredients, run them past your
Got
gynac.
it.
There is nothing in it which is a spermicide, all right? And technically, I wouldn't want to beat my own drum, but let me do it. It's like, it's the cleanest one out there, all right? If it wasn't, we would have also chosen to not put all the ingredients. Secondly, even slightly questionable ingredients like propylene glycol, benzocaine, etc., we are not using, all right? So go run it past your doc, and it's all good. Now the second thing is, over years of, you just talked about shame, and let's go back in time, and actually not back in time, but even now, Sarthak, women are told that everything that happens to them, every pain they experience, is a part of the package. Even pain during a sexual experience, women are made to accept that. All right? That is patriarchy. All right? So
कि
why do
that's
you
how
see?
it is,
Yeah,
and you
that's how
have
it
to
is.
accept it.
कि मेरे को भी हुआ था. Like if it's a bunch of women talking, they would end up talking about it like, I grew up thinking all women bleed when they have it for the first time and it's extremely painful. And the very first question I had in my mind was, why to do it, man? Like, me being a kid, like, we're all
Yeah.
curious. This is why there is very little to no conversation around period cramps and how painful they are, and you have these reels going viral wherein they're getting men to try, punches, what it feels like, and the whole world is going crazy about, oh my god. Women around us have experienced that for a long time. That same translates to sexual experiences. First, women are conditioned not to complain about their pain, normalize it, belittle it, and be like, accept it. The second thing is, all societies, most societies that are driven by the idea of reproduction and not pleasure, pain is accepted as a part of the package. What we are saying is, it doesn't have to be that. All right?
Very well put.
Having a kid or not having is your choice. Being married or not married, not getting married is your choice. What we are saying is, whether you are enjoying yourself or you're with a partner, pain isn't a part of the package. Like, it's as simple as that. So that's my answer. Yeah.
You were always articulate. I'm just thinking whether this category has honed your skill even better to know what words to use and how to deliver it. I think it's amazing. So this is great to know. Okay, so you were explaining about your 11 SKUs, and I'd love to know, you have one water-based lubricant. You're planning on building another, which is oil-based. Just a clean lubricant. You'll have 2 SKUs there.
Yeah.
You have 9 massagers. So okay, I'd love to know, how are these massagers different and what need do they cater to? Is it a different price point you're catering to? Is it a different kind of person you're catering to? How many cater to women? How many cater to men?
Okay. So, Sarthak, as I mentioned, we're a brand that is essentially for women. We don't have anything for men apart from the lube they could use with their partners, and we always encourage men to play with massagers with their partners if that's the case, because the whole notion around massages has been that these are competition. A man has always been conditioned to think that, am I not enough? Why does my partner need a massager? And we have always said that these are companions.
Yeah.
All right. It's like an accessory that'll take you level up. So yeah, so I mentioned about the clitoral stimulator. It comes with suction technology, so that's one of the variants. We were the first ones in India to do it, and that's been a bestseller ever since because of a couple of reasons. All right. The first thing is that when you're getting people to try a first massager, they don't want something that looks
Obscene?
daunting, like it's too complex, or how is it going to make me feel? So it's external. You don't have to technically insert anything. Our second bestseller product, it's called Candy Massager. It's a
Okay, so your first bestseller
is
is
lit.
got it.
Yeah. The second one is Candy. It's a 4.7-inch massager, great for internal and external stimulation. Why did we make that product? It comes with an ergonomic grip. Now, what we realized was, one, when somebody is just starting out their self-exploration journey, they don't want something too long or too big or too thick. At the same time, we looked at our competition also, and one of their entry-level products was a product that had no grip, but was smaller in size. And we spoke to a few people who had used it. And they said that one of the fears was that this will get lost inside if I lose the grip.
Yeah.
So we made it with an ergonomic finger grip. So that was, another insight. One very interesting product in our newest launch has been it's called Rocket. It's a small massager. The price point is 999. What we realized was that, see, of course, we're building in a price sensitive country, and when you are getting people to try their first product, it better not be a massager that costs upwards of 2,000 rupees.
Correct.
It is priced at 999. It's called Rocket. It's made with 100% medical grade silicone again, single casing. Now, I'm not sure how relevant this will be for your audiences, but most small bullets, bullet vibes that you get, they come
What
with
is this? You'll
bullet
have to
vibe.
educate me.
So bullet vibe is technically a small-sized bullet vibrator.
Okay.
The small, it's
got
like
it.
this size.
Understood.
It comes in two parts. The cap can come off, and it's very hazardous. So
Oh,
what?
so one is afraid that it might just come off and
Yeah, while you're using it. So that's why we made one with a single casing. All right,
Understood.
100% medical grade silicone.
understood.
Sarthak, there's also a very interesting insight which I shouldn't forget telling you, is that 30% of our orders actually come as buy now, pay in 4 EMIs.
Really?
Yeah. So another way to build trust is,
And what's your average order value?
it's
Just
about
for-
2,500 rupees.
Oh, even for something for 2,500, 30% is
Yeah.
4-month EMIs.
Yeah.
My God. Okay.
So that's also been a game changer in the Indian market, because we've read so much about people buying. We work with young people and they buy sneakers on EMIs and things like that. So
Correct.
yeah, this is also like they're buying massagers on EMI. That makes it more accessible. So why even a product which is 999, some people are buying it on EMI, man. None of our products will be something that you cannot use alone, or you need another person in the room. So that's been our core. Another one that's really picking up and going crazy is a flicking tongue vibrator. All right, it's called Tickle. It's been driving a lot of people crazy and becoming a bestseller, pretty fast moving.
Wow. Very interesting.
So that's that.
Okay. And how have the playing cards come about? And how does it even fit here? Is it like more a marketing play in some way?
It's actually both, Sarthak. So the problem we're trying to solve for is, when people go out on dates, you need icebreakers. People are going with a lot of inhibitions, and people don't want to come across as, okay, am I probing too much?
Yeah.
Am I asking too many questions? So what this card game essentially does is, unlike a lot of other card games, it's not meant for couples. It's meant for people who are on their first few dates.
Oh.
So there are 5 different levels. It's right from like getting to know your preferences to what you may like in bed, but they're not very naughty. So the idea is they're flirty and they're fun icebreakers.
But they're not too intrusive, bordering on being obscene, or someone feeling like, okay, this is really crossing a line, or it could.
Okay, so what we do is, the rules are such that you can skip any card that you want, and you can choose levels. All right, so there's one level which is called small talk, to another level which is into deep. So you can choose the stage of the relationship you're at, the stage of the conversation and the meeting you're at. You can choose your level accordingly. And how it's a marketing thing also, Sarthak, is that, see, we launched them 2 months back, and we're already across 16 cafes in Delhi NCR, a couple of them in Goa and one in Bombay as well. And the funny thing is, there's another cafe. It's called Shack. It's very close to our studio, as we call it. So a lot of people take the card games away.
Oh.
So now we have an arrangement with the guy. He's like, I'm going to call you guys every time the card games have been flicked. Please restore them. And these cafe managers keep sending us videos, photos of people playing, and that solves for that awareness generation.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. So card games are doing well. In fact, we're in the process of doing another one, which is going to be extremely naughty, and that's meant for couples.
Okay.
Yeah, this one's just icebreakers.
So are you planning on selling them at these cafes also?
See, so Sarthak, the nature of the dating card game is such that uh, it's more like it's there. You'll pick it up and you'll play. It's of course moving on our website, but the intent with the card game for couples is to sell it online because that's something that people can consume, use over and over. That's the whole idea.
So now, what is the split like across all your SKUs from a revenue perspective?
Okay, so Sarthak, broadly speaking, about 92-93% revenue would be massagers. All right.
Okay.
AOV is higher. As a D2C brand, it makes sense for us to advertise.
And goes up from 999 to
999 to 3999.
okay.
Yeah. But let me tell you, these are all massagers for women. About, I would say, 6 to 7% revenue comes from the lubricants. And the rest of it is through accessories like, we also have one handcuff. It's a silicone handcuff. We do that. It's very different from your conventional handcuffs, very discreet.
It doesn't look like a handcuff?
No, it does not. Now, I'd also like to tell you something very interesting in the category that's happening. Now, when any brand starts in the category, anyone in the competition, they all start with products for women, and the positioning is always like, okay, we're a brand that's trying to bridge the pleasure gap. But slowly, owing to the economic conditions in the country and the control of finance, everyone starts steering towards products for men.
Okay.
Any brand that you pick up right now in this space, either the number is close to 70-30. The ratio is 70-30. 70% of their business is being driven by massagers for men and only 30%. But that's not the case when they start. Because like I just mentioned, 90% of the finance is controlled by men in India. It's also easier to sell to men because they have higher purchasing power owing to the access to money. So yeah, that's the thing.
So would you want to get into that as a business? Because if it makes sense financially for the business, and what might happen is if, say, for example, when you think of a couple, if a woman has very high trust on your brand, they could very well refer it to their husbands, or does it not work in this category?
No, Sarthak. So we had run a small experiment and we sort of call that as a mistake. All right. So a lot of women used to write to us because we got this insight, as I just mentioned earlier, that a lot of men used to think of massagers as their competition and not companion. Right. So in introducing a massager into the bedroom, it's not just a decision of the woman alone. Sometimes the partner has to be a part of it. So we used to get a lot of queries relating to, do you have anything for men? Do you have anything for men?
Because it's almost like quid pro quo. Like,
Yeah.
I've agreed to this, so you need.
Yeah.
Is it like that?
Yeah. So it's more like it makes the process of introducing a massager easier. All right. So we did run a very small experiment where we launched a product. We launched a product for men. It didn't seem organic for us to actually create content around it, talk about it, or even to get that aligned with our idea of building whatever we were. Secondly, our loyalists came back at us and told us that we felt this was a brand for us. So that's why we've taken a very conscious call that everything that we end up making, we can either be used by women alone or with another man and a woman. But like it has to meet that first criteria very importantly.
Okay. So in your industry, who are the industry leaders? I understand you may not really have market share numbers for all of them, but who are the bigger names who you think probably have the largest chunk in this category?
We created a lot of awareness in the market. We started out. And then all the legacy players also entered. So
Hmm.
now there's Durex, there's Manforce in the category. Bold Care has also entered. So yeah, I mean, there are these bunch of players, and now people have a lot of options.
Hmm.
That is happening.
Okay.
And with the legacy players entering the space, the entire conversation that used to happen around regulation, etc., about whether it's legal or not, that's been put to rest, which I think is great for the category.
Hmm.
But I think in general, yeah, we did a lot of groundwork with respect to awareness,
Correct.
creating the market and the need. Yeah.
I think that's exactly where you really sticking to your target customer makes a lot more sense, because when everyone's catering to everyone, you at least have an edge and a differentiator there,
Yeah.
which is great. Okay. Now from an economics perspective, how expensive or inexpensive are you compared to the other players in the market?
Uh, really categorized, I would say we're somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
Why are we in the middle? So while we have a product at an opening price point, which is 999, that product is also like there are still brands that will sell something for cheaper than maybe
999?
600, 700, 800 rupees. But we have to keep in mind a couple of things. One, we can't compromise on the battery tests. Then we can't compromise on the silicon quality.
Hmm.
So 999 is our starting price point. There are brands selling stuff upwards of 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 also, but we've capped it of no more than 4,000 rupees, 3,999. But if I was to talk about the sweet spot, between 2,000 to 2,500 is a sweet spot. And that's what we've seen with some of our products that do very well.
And how is your lube priced?
So we launched the lube it was retailing at 700 rupees. Now we've, the same variant, we've repackaged it in our fun new colors. It's priced at 3,999.
Oh, so it's cheaper.
Yeah, it's cheaper.
But the quantity is also.
No, the quantity is the same.
The quantity is the same.
Yeah, nothing has changed.
But what I want to understand is if you've taken a steep reduction in price from, say, like a 799 to a 399, has your economics or margins changed or your cost structure changed? What has changed for that to happen?
Okay. The first thing was lube is anyways a harder sell in the market.
Is
alright?
it
Yeah.
tougher than massagers?
Yeah. So we'll tell you why. Since the market was flooded with flavored lubricants, etc., the very purpose of what a lubricant does isn't
Is
very well
misunderstood.
communicated. Yeah, it's misunderstood. The second thing is the perception. A lot of women are made to feel that there's something wrong with you if you use lube.
Mhm.
So that notion itself isn't right.
Mhm.
All right. So one, we realized that we had to make this product more accessible. All right. Then not a lot of people talk about it, and this is one of the metric that a lot of investors end up asking, not realizing the category we operate in. Just like luggage, just like maybe an electric toothbrush, the repeats even in massagers as a category are not very high.
Correct.
So in order to make sure that, okay, if we have a really good product, we want more and more people to buy it and experience it, right? So it was a conscious call that we took to scale the price down, keep the ingredients, the quantities, etc. same, so that it becomes more accessible, as we want more and more people to buy it and buy it again.
More frequently.
Yeah, that's the whole idea.
Now, I also wanted to touch upon the economics, and this would have two parts. One is how much money would it take for one to enter into this category and start off, and the second is what is the unit economics of one product, and you can talk about all categories and all SKUs.
If you're working with existing designs and all you want to better is one, the quality of silicon and make sure that your batteries comply with all European standards, you can start with an MOQ of as low as 500 units
Okay.
with a factory. And I think the expenditure you'll have to make is anywhere between 4 to 5 lakhs for one lot. All right.
What does that mean?
So that's your
So
cost
you've
of
got
production.
one lot of 500 units of one SKU.
One SKU now.
And 4 to 5 lakhs is your cost
Production.
of production
Yeah,
cost.
I'll break
Okay.
it down now. When you're running tests on prototypes, right, you'll have to send them to labs. All right. You should keep anywhere between 1.5 to 2 lakhs for lab tests for electronics. All right. Like for lubricants, we
For
tested.
each SKU.
Yeah, because you want to be sure, right?
Is that for one lab or it covers
No,
multiple
no, no.
labs?
So about 3 to 4 labs. Anywhere the cost is between 35,000 rupees to 40,000 per lab.
Okay.
That's what.
And 3 to 4 is what everyone should do from a regulatory compliance, or just to be safe that your product is good, that it doesn't get customer complaints, it doesn't get like any kind of legal suits to say that this is unsafe for use.
Sarthak, there are two levels of tests that happen. One is at the lab level in China, wherein we mandate our manufacturers to send a few pieces from every lot for testing. The report is called UN 38.3 report. It basically, there are about 8 parameters they test the product battery on, which is altitude, heat, cold, and pressure, all those things. But as I had mentioned earlier, that we want to be very particular with the quality of the silicon used. So it's not a mandate, but we try and ensure that whatever product that we're putting out in the market needs to be 100% medical grade silicon.
Okay.
Similarly, with the lubricant, our lubricant is Ayush certified.
Acha.
And
is that mandatory?
Yeah, of course, that's mandatory. So you can either have a pharma certification or an Ayush certification.
Okay.
So ours is Ayush certified. That is also dermatologically tested safe. The law doesn't mandate us to get these certifications, but we sent it to an independent lab just to run tests and see there are no commonly known irritants in the lube that's beyond what's mentioned in the formulation.
Understood.
Now coming back to the economics. So the entire process of sampling the prototypes, including shipping, etc., about 100 units, and experimenting with different colors.
Oh, so 100 units for sampling?
Yeah. Because the point is, we're building in a category where everybody experiences pleasure differently.
And 100 units of the same SKU, or
100 units of the same kind of product, but different shapes and sizes.
Understood.
All right. So
Okay.
we launched with a suction massager, for example. So suction massager, but 5 to 6 different kinds.
Okay.
We brought in. All right. Those were sent to people. Now, the feedback that we got was with respect to how easy is it to hold. The another thing that we have to keep in mind is when it vibrates, does your hand go numb or not?
Yeah.
All right. These were certain parameters we asked people to test this on. So I think the sampling itself was about 2.5, 3 lakhs for us.
I mean, at least 100 people you have to sample with, because even statistically, I think margin of error would be 10%, give or take.
That's when, we arrived at one final product. Our first MOQ was about 1,000 units. In order to do that, just the factory cost, imports, etc. included, was about 9.5 lakhs. The first lot of 1,000 units of one SKU.
Okay, so your one per product cost for you was about 900 rupees.
Yeah, 8 to 900.
Including shipping.
From there, like
From
getting
China.
the final product, like billing was
including shipping, customs, everything.
Yeah.
Down to your place was 900 rupees per unit. When you started off, 1,000 pieces is what you start with as an MOQ.
Yeah.
Okay.
Packaging,
did you go to
etc.
China to the factory or something, or no?
No. So we met the manufacturers in Hong Kong, and as we like to say, we were bootstrapped and optimizing for money. So Sajee's dad makes a lot of visits to China. So he visited the factories, and as far as our lubricants were concerned, that sampling was sort of expensive because we got 111 lube variants in total from across the world. The process was about 4 months long because things took a lot of time to reach us. Then we were talking to another 6 months initially was taken to arrive at samples which Indian manufacturers could create. So we spoke to about 70 odd companies, 10 formulators, and it was about a 6 to 8 month process that took. So that was about 5 lakh rupees.
And how did you find these formulators and contract manufacturers? Is it from the packaging of other incumbent players?
Of course. So all the manufacturers all the contract manufacturing companies, even the biggest brands are contract manufacturing. So you reach out to their manufacturing companies, understand their MOQs. There are some people who don't meet your MOQ criteria. They're like, you're too young, you're too small. But there are always a few people
Who will be willing to work
willing
with
to
you?
do it. Another very interesting thing that has happened is that over the years, uh, most manufacturers have a choice to do smaller MOQs also because their machines are capable enough to do that. So we spoke to a bunch of manufacturing companies as I'd spoken to you. But then, very interestingly, there was one clean brand that Sachee used to follow. They were in menstrual hygiene. Their particular manufacturer had not ever done a lube, but all their other products were very clean. When we met those guys, it seemed like a vibe check
Yeah.
in literal sense. And we were like, we want to do this. Let's run an experiment to see. They created the lube variants. We compared, and funnily enough, Sarthak, we had so much sex under pressure, man. And we used to send these lube variants to the Sassy Vibe tribe, and calling them up the next day, the day after. Have you used
Like
it?
it's almost like that gynac calling.
Have you used it? Have you used it? So it was very funny. But yeah, so that's how we found that was around 5 to 6 lakhs. This process was slightly costly. And, another very interesting thing that used to happen was now none of them had ever heard of a lubricant which was unflavored or unscented. So very often when we'd be on calls with them, they'd they'd be like, थोड़ी सी तो सेंट डाल देनी चाहिए, ठीक है, मूड बन जाता है, ठीक है. And we guys were like, no, we don't want flavors or scents. So
That you're smelling like a cream biscuit.
yeah, थोड़ा सा तो चॉकलेट डाल ही देते. And the funny thing was, uh, if we were asking for like 3 samples, 4 samples, 5 from each manufacturer with different viscosity, they would send one for sure with
With the scent.
the scent. Like they would be like, this fragrance has to be there. And then it used to be like, nahi yaar. So it was very hard to explain. Then another very interesting thing was everybody would insist on using a little bit of petroleum derived ingredients ki sab log use karte hain. Because gel texture aata hi tabhi
Yeah.
hai. We're like, no, that's not happening. So yeah, so it was a long 6 to 8 month long process. The second half of 2020 we spent on that. उसमें 5-6 लाख रुपए हमने लगाए थे.
But does that impact the efficiency of your product if you don't use the petroleum derived ingredient?
हाँ, so सार्थक ये एक बहुत important चीज है कि we don't claim that our lubes are long lasting, water based lube.
And what is the definition of long
हाँ,
lasting?
okay. So now the thing is, the more gel like it is, it'll last longer. But the more gel like it is, it will have a lot more harmful ingredients. जो उसको viscosity देता है.
Got it.
So the point is, ours is a water-based lube. You'll have to use a lot more. Slightly more of it than a conventional
So you
the
would
one
say
from a
50% higher compared to what?
yes, a conventional brand, and
Okay.
we accept the fact it's water-based. That okay, for the lack of a better term, let me say it mirrors your natural lubrication. That is what it does. It does not feel like uh, an unnatural additive.
Got it.
All right, and you don't end up smelling like chocolates or strawberries. So
Yeah.
that's the thing. So yeah, so you can say that the first MOQ we did was 1,000 units for the massagers, 9 lakhs. This was the R&D process was about 5 lakhs. The first lot of lubricants we did end to end was around 2 lakhs, 1,000 units again, 2 lakh rupees. Yeah, that was this. The packaging, etc. Sarthak is about, if I talk about per unit of the box, it varies anywhere between 100 to 130 rupees. That is what that essentially.
So what I'm also hearing is if someone wants to start with their first lot and R&D and licensing, they can be 25 to 30 lakhs should be enough capital for you to get started.
I would say that, if you run it all in a very controlled environment, don't expand the pool to 70 manufacturers like we did and took a lot of time, and 25 lakhs is more than enough to start.
Got it.
Where you end up spending money is then one, acquiring customers.
So what are your channels like? How do you acquire customers?
So mostly it's Meta.
Okay. So where all do you sell? Let's break that down. Do you have marketplaces?
Yeah, so it's website, our own website, thatsassy.thing.com. It's quick commerce channels, and it's marketplaces like Nike and Amazon.
Okay.
That's where we
Okay. So
sell.
3 kind of channels.
Yeah.
Offline, not yet. You mentioned that you sell out of one cafe, but let's forget that at the moment because it's probably not driving substantial sales right now.
Globally, about 80% of the sales in the massagers as a category
Is online.
is happening online.
Perfect. And how does it? What does the revenue split look like across your website and marketplaces and quick commerce?
So, I'd like to say that about 50% is quick commerce, about 45% is our own website, and rest 5% is marketplaces.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
50% is quick commerce?
Yes.
So have you seen a jump in your sales ever since quick commerce came about, or is it the product is such that it is an urgent need and you want quick commerce to bring it? Is it being discreet solved well enough on quick commerce? Because you'll normally see like an open packet that they bring with like all these products. So that's my immediate question.
Okay. So, to answer your question, one thing that quick commerce very clearly solves for is discretion, because the one person who's ordering it, it's for sure that the person can receive it because it comes in 15-20 minutes, like 10-15 minutes, right? So that takes away the fear in the person's mind that somebody else will receive it.
Hmm.
Is it discreet? So we've set up SOPs wherein we tell that it should go in a separate brown package, but the speed at which quick commerce works, Sarthak, their fleet doesn't really have the time to like put it in a separate box and tape it. While that's the SOP that we have
So
discussed.
would you consider putting it like in a brown corrugated box or something and keeping your SKUs in that fashion at the warehouse itself?
We've spoken about it, Sarthak, with them, but the whole point is that the way their logistics work, identifying a brown box, and if we
Yeah.
have 5 SKUs, 5 different brown boxes, it's hard to
It's very
identify.
hard. Yeah.
So it increases the scope of error. So the only thing that quick commerce solves for is you want it now and you get it now. Now, talking about the nature. See, we're also building in a category that's high impulse. You're feeling like it and you want it, so you get it now. All right. That's another problem that quick commerce solves for, and which is great.
Yeah.
I'd also want to touch upon the fact that, while I briefly mentioned it earlier, that now even the legacy players, etc., have entered the space. The legacy players are all there now. A lot of competition is there, man.
Yeah.
A lot of competition.
So
is
quick
there.
commerce is tough to crack.
Yeah. So there are a lot of things that I wish I would have known, or we would have known, and I'd love to share it here because, while it solves for one, great access, second is deliverability. We all have to know that all these platforms are very new themselves. And one, there's no logic to the quantum of POs you end up receiving. So you have to watch your inventory.
Can you go deeper? Like, have you experienced this, and what have you experienced?
Okay, let me give you an example. A lot of experiments would be run at your cost. How? They're expanding their dark stores, they're expanding to different cities. Let's say you've sent your products to one mother warehouse which caters to one city and maybe 50 dark stores. Now, let's say they have expanded their dark stores to 100 dark stores in the same city and 3 more cities, but continue servicing them from the same mother warehouse. You won't know your product has reached all those places. You won't know. So your inventory is spread thin. All right. Second and most importantly is most of them.
So they're trying to gauge demand based
your
on
expense.
your inventory, because
Yes.
it's sale or return.
Yeah.
So they'll say, let me ask for say 1,000 pieces,
Yeah.
place it everywhere. If it doesn't sell, they return it to you, and in fact, you'll have to reverse your sale, and you're like, now I'm left with all this inventory which I can't sell on my own D2C or on other marketplaces which are well established.
Yeah. So I feel, I mean, when people talk about playbooks, when you have scenarios where your inventories are, in places that where your customers aren't, you're in a tough spot. All
Yeah.
right. So a lot of people don't talk about it, and I don't know why, but I do think that you have to very, very closely watch your inventories with quick commerce.
Do you think it's an evil of your category? Because I don't know if I should say it's not old, but it's probably not as well penetrated as as a lot of other category products, right? And people are not so used to just ordering these things on quick commerce so far, which is why maybe you would feel the pinch more than say someone else who is in beauty, personal care. Not to say you are not in that category, but your product is quite novel, so you feel the pinch
No,
much
no,
higher.
Sarthak, I think this happens across categories, yeah. So the thing is, when they have to show an assortment in a new city they're going out to, you'll be a part of that experiment, and that's
Hmm.
a costly experiment for you.
Hmm.
So yeah, so that's one thing that I feel taking your inventory wherever we expand, that's been a strategy and not.
But don't you feel like if you say no, for example, they send you a PO, have you said no, or can you say, okay, give me an advance if you want this much because I logically don't see it? Or the general narrative is because it's so tough now to crack quick commerce since everyone is there, and the category managers kind of sit like gatekeepers and lords saying you are allowed and you are not allowed with their own logic, and no one really knows what's really happening. You can now say this sitting on your high horse because you cracked it early, and everyone else is like, if quick commerce gives me an in, I am willing to bear the cost of extra inventory rather than to have bear the cost of no sales.
Okay, so Sarthak, it's very interesting. First of all, there was a time when, okay, one I'd like to clarify, cracking quick commerce is not something that we have said or anyone, no, we haven't. And not a lot of people who think they've cracked have really cracked it. So
Okay.
let us,
So one thing, how easy was it to for you to get on quick commerce? Are
when
you
we,
on three,
yeah,
four of them?
no, we are, yeah, I would say
You're
that we're
on, say,
there.
the major ones. Okay.
Yeah, it was very tough. Took us about 7 months.
And who did you reach out to? How, what helped you crack it?
Okay, so friends who are running D2C brands, they're investors, a bunch of dinners.
Yeah.
It took a lot of time,
Yeah.
but now it's become extremely democratized, wherein they've opened marketplace arms of quick commerce channels as well. You fill up a form.
Correct.
I mean, we had to wait for months, but now it doesn't take that long. So that gatekeeping isn't happening. That's the most important thing. That's one thing.
Okay.
A lot of promises happen. Like we were told that there'll be only 5 players in the category, and no, it's it's open to everyone. All right. The second thing is, Sarthak, funnily enough, uh, the only thing that works for a lot of people on quick commerce, which has come out after a couple of years of them being in operations, is don't launch all your SKUs there. Launch specific few ones that you think are doing well for you on D2C. And for most brands that we've spoken with, what works on D2C is what works on quick commerce.
Okay.
Yeah, because
And marketplace works very differently.
uh, see, in our category in general, honestly speaking, Sarthak, we've not gone very deep, and no pun intended, into the marketplaces. All right.
Okay.
We are a category that's, of course, quick commerce solves for a lot of problems. So these are
Yeah.
channels.
So the marketplace, you can't be sure whether it'll solve for, discrete ways of shipping it. So it won't solve for discretion as well as D2C or quick commerce would.
Some marketplaces do, like they say that it'll be delivered discreetly, but it's not sure, and we have to keep our customers' safety in mind. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, so the one thing is, one, it's not hard anymore for people to go on. Getting listed is not a problem. Earlier it used to be, but it's not a problem anymore. So
Managing inventory is.
yes, and you have to know this one thing, that what happens when okay, like I mentioned, that one, there's no rationale behind the quantum of POs that you end up receiving. The second is, when you over indexed on a platform, that's another very important thing. You'll get into a lot of unnecessary conversation around ads and discounting.
That happens.
Yeah, so you're anyways paying 28 to 40% of MRP as your margins.
Correct.
Then you're discounting, then you're putting money in ads. So yeah, quick commerce as a channel, like as fast as it looks like, we've got to keep a very strong control over what's working, what's not, and take conscious calls.
But okay, so what's the gross margin for your product generally?
So we're in a high gross margin category. It's anywhere between, like, it ranges between 65 to 75%
Okay.
gross margin.
Okay.
Yeah.
So imagine, for the sake of simplicity, 70%, which means 30% is the cost of your product.
Hmm.
Now, typically, when people who sell through D2C and who sell through marketplaces will say, okay, about 12% is what I'll take out for logistics. Another say 10% extra I'll put in for packaging, spillage, and things like that. Other things which might happen. Then of course you'll have say 30% as the platform commission, and then of course there are ads. So what I'm saying is, when quick commerce happens and it's clubbing your logistics, it's clubbing your packaging, secondary packaging or delivery packaging, it's clubbing your marketplace commission, is it unfair for them to charge 40%? Because it just so happens that when you sell through other channels, you're just breaking it down, and here it's all clubbed together, so it suddenly feels like the largest cost, but essentially it's just bundling of costs. But what you'll be left with on a marketplace and what you're left with on quick commerce is pretty much the same. And maybe on D2C your ad spend would be so high that it's practically eating away the margin as Meta, and you don't see one player like really getting a big chunk.
Okay, so Sarthak, I'd like to say that, one, quick commerce is essentially meant for anybody who exists in a very high margin,
Fair.
business. That's one. Now, this is also very relative. When you say that, is it fair or is it unfair? Let me give you an example. Let's say a category is a white space. There are only two brands, but it's a high demand category. Doesn't matter. You take a 40% commission without fairly highly discounting. You're getting customers, and they have to choose between two brands, three brands. The problem for anybody in any category ends up happening when there are 20 brands
Yeah.
and you're competing against one another for, one, the same customer, the second, to even protect your own keywords.
Correct.
All right, when competition is bidding against on your name,
Yeah.
all right, for a category that is getting created, that's brutal, man.
Absolutely is.
Yeah. So I would say fair and unfair is very contextual to what stage of the category in that particular quick commerce journey you are in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.